So you may not have noticed it, but at the top of this song, Phil put a quote in there, and it says, "Your time as a caterpillar has expired." It's a very quick quote. You might have missed it. It's right at the top. Your time as a caterpillar has expired. Phil Jacobs, just so you know, is he has this thing called Toronto Sound Therapy. For those of you who were in Welcome Home's full day excursion, he was intermittently throughout the entire day playing all of his music and doing his sound therapy. He does sound baths that are amazing. And he's an amazing presence in the world. And that was his son playing the guitar with him. And it really was a relationship song about the idea that I think it takes us a long time to realize we're actually free. That we don't, and I love that he says it because it's right up on this board. Forgive everything, forgive yourself, and remember who you are. We just don't know it yet. And I love that. We are free to create the lives we want. We just don't know it yet. But we do. You do, and you can't pretend you don't. Because your time as a caterpillar has expired. So he says you are already free, but you don't know it yet. Sometimes we forget who we really are. And I get that. I get that. But you know what I think happened? I think when 2020 came along, especially since our theme for 2020 was 2020 vision, think about that. So we had a lot of time to be able to have focus. If we got anything from 2020, it was to give us the chance to have 2020 vision, to focus on our lives. Everything came out of the closet. Everything. So when we move into 2021, we have an opportunity to awaken to everything we've seen and to really start getting this idea that we got to stop pretending that we don't know who we are. We have got to stop living lives of characters that we have created in our minds based on everything that's come before it, as opposed to getting in there and saying, wait a minute, I know who I am. So that's why I love this quote. Tiffany, your time as a caterpillar has expired. Just what does that feel like? Luke, your time as a well, I don't know. You might still be in the cocoon. Maybe. But I'm going to say no. Your time as a caterpillar has expired. Same thing with Nate, even though he's like 10 years younger than you. Could you imagine? You'd be a fetus. So your time as a caterpillar has expired. To me, that says, you know what? I am 66 years old. It is time for me to stop thinking my life is coming. It's not coming. It's like waiting for Godot. It's not coming. It's here. And it's here whether I'm 66 or 14 or 16. 17, yes, because you just had a birthday, right? It's here at any age, at any time, no matter what. It's already here. So my life as a caterpillar has expired. The title of my talk today is this: I am awake. And that's an I in the middle there, by the way. I am awake. So the word awakening can be an interesting word. And my husband and I had to talk about this. Did I want awakened as the theme, or did I want awakening? Did I want something that was happening or something that was, no, here's who you are? Well, to be honest, thanks to this Thursday night class, I no longer speak too often in definitives because life is fluid and life is growing and expanding. And what I might say as a definitive today, tomorrow I'm going to have to recant. So I stay in the opportunity of understanding that life is constantly unfolding and expanding. So I am awakening. And here's the thing. Life awakens at every moment. In the quantum field, life is always expanding. It is always part of this emergent evolution that whatever we need comes forward. And we don't even know we need it yet, but it comes forward because evolution knows what is necessary. So we are awakening no matter what. You can't stop yourself from awakening at every moment, and you will never be awakened. I don't believe we will ever be awakened, because if we are, then we must have hit the end of a road, or it must have done everything it could do. It's never going to happen. I don't want it to happen to you. Do you want your life to suddenly be, oh, yep, I get it. This is everything it has to be? No, I want it to be constantly expanding, constantly moving, constantly growing, constantly changing. Change is good. So if the year is about awakening, it is about you and it is about me getting in touch with a part of ourselves that is constantly changing, expanding, growing, moving. I mean, if I look back and think of what I thought I was going to do with my life, this wouldn't have been it. I would not be standing in a room talking to a camera with a few people here because of this pandemic. This never showed up in my mind as a possibility. I actually thought I'd be living in a huge mansion somewhere, picking out whatever movie I wanted to do this year, starring in it. Definitely starring Liza, not co-starring, right? So that's what I assumed was going to be, but that's not what happened. Did I fail? Or was life emerging in such a way that I was awakening to the constant change of my life, and I finally got into the boat and allowed the stream to take me where it wanted to take me. So this is all to say that this year for you is an amazing opportunity to just get in the flow of the awakening. Because guess what? You can't pretend you're not awake anymore. You just can't. If you've been coming here even for a month, you can't pretend you don't know what you know. You can fight it, and I know many of you could, and I know you fight it a lot. When I say I am God, you are God, there's a lot of fighting going on, only because you're still annoyed at whatever you thought God was to begin with, and you don't want to use the word God, or whatever concoction you've come up with to argue with me about the greatness of who you are. Let it go, because I am drama-free this year. And therefore, I'm not getting involved in your dramas of fighting against the truth of who you are. So you're either going to get it or you're not. I know you all in this room get it, you all got it, and you're good. Get it, got it, good. But that's the whole thing, this idea of awakening. Awaken to who you are and stop fighting it. I am awake. I am awake. And I am not going to go back to sleep. And guess what? You kind of can't. You can't. You cannot trick yourself, because your inside voice, not your outside voice, your inside awareness knows the truth. And here's what happens. If you're willing to say, I am awake, and get into this energy of awakening, knowing that you are constantly awakening and constantly changing and expanding. And this center needs to keep doing that too. I need to keep creating new classes, new things for us to look at. Keep current in what's going on in the world in order to keep us growing and evolving. Awakening, not awakened. And I love what Ernest Holmes said in that talk, which you'll hear a lot more of. That talk where he said, all religions that seem to think they have the answers don't understand the questions. And I get it. I totally get it. But I do understand the questions. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why am I? They're all great questions. And I'm going to keep answering them. I don't have the answer. I have answers as they come along. So if you want to be a part of that, the awakening, then you have to be willing to say, my time as a caterpillar has expired. So let's all say that once, shall we? My time as a caterpillar has expired. What does that feel like? Does it feel silly? Say it again. My time as a caterpillar, Daniel, has expired. Right? So you know what it really means? What is inside of you that you have been holding in there for so freaking long, it just has never come out. Do you know what happens if you hold a caterpillar into its cocoon? It dies. Your dreams, your aspirations, the things you want to do in life, you don't need to stick in the cocoon, stick in the cocoon saying to yourself, someday it's going to happen. Someday, well, I can see myself someday. Stop seeing yourself someday. See it now. Open the cocoon and jump out. What are you ready to do? And it's not just because it's 2021. Yes, it's great on the first Sunday of a new year to be able to give the talk that says, what are you going to do this year? But this year I want to say, who are you going to be? Who are you finally going to be? You know, I look at my students, I look at Liza, I look at Tiffany, I look at the great students that have come through this center, and what Jonathan Zen's running his own center, Rita and Patrick in Kauai make such a difference in people's lives. I look at the people that have come through this teaching, but come through this teaching, not stopped at this teaching. And I know that the students that I have right now in this advanced consciousness classes, they all go towards their doctorates and they're writing their books and creating their projects and their series. That's going to put amazing energy into the world. So what are you going to put into the world? And what but can I kick out of the way for you? Because I would love to do that for you. And I'd love to ask you to kick any you see in front of me out of the way. Because there are way too many buts in this world. I could be a contender. I could have been anything. But you know what? You can be anything. What's your decision? You have to decide to leave the freaking cocoon. Not that there's anything wrong with the cocoon. It plays a part in who you are, right? So our theme this month is awakening. Let me give you a definition of the word awakening, because my husband, Kevin, was so funny. I said awakening. He goes, James, make sure you know if it's a noun or a verb, because it's just like you. It's going to be just like you to go out there and say, awakening, the verb, and it's not. It's a noun. And I'm like, why would awakening be a noun? It's an action. He says, I don't know, but it says it's a noun. He's sitting in the car, like screaming this at me while I'm driving. I'm like, I will say what it is. I get it's a noun. It's also an adjective, by the way. And I also see it as a verb. I know it's not technically a verb, but I see it as an action. And it's interesting because the definition is this: an act of waking from sleep. Anybody see 2020 as a nightmare that you want to wake up from? I hear it a lot. A lot of people see it that way, and I know we haven't brought that consciousness into the new year, but I still hear it. Rita and I were talking about it. She's like, oh my God, if one more person tells me how bad the year was, she goes, they don't get it. They're bringing that consciousness with them. No, but it did feel like a lot of people went to sleep. It felt like a lot of people went to sleep at the wheel, and it seemed like the world was going literally off course, but it wasn't. Because it was awakening in its way to what we are right now, stepping into a new year, a new idea of what we want to do with our lives. So, what are you willing to wake up from? What are you willing to put back to sleep and just let it go to sleep? Next definition is an act or a moment of becoming suddenly aware of something. Well, I got to tell you, I would give anything to make any one of you suddenly become aware that you are God, no matter what. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see a movie where people suddenly realized they were God. I'd love to see a movie where people suddenly realized something that profound. When I was looking up the definition, what came up was that movie. I remember watching it, Awakenings. When they found that drug for Parkinson's and they gave it to these people that were in a coma and they just popped out of a coma and were so lucid and so clear. I remember sobbing during that Penny Marshall movie, which most Penny Marshall movies I saw that, except The League of Their Own. I don't think I sobbed. But I deviate. But I loved that moment where they all just woke up and just were so clear and lucid. That's where we are, I believe, in our evolution as human beings. As divine human beings. We are ready. We are absolutely ready to be wide awake, to be awakening to who we are at every moment and allow it to change. Who knows, Liza may start doing exactly what she's doing and then suddenly she's just a movie star and they said, we need you in movies. And she's like, okay. Since the way you look today, you're like, no, it's not happening. You don't know. But be willing to be so awake that you hear it when it comes, that you see it when it comes, and that you are letting yourself out. I said to Luke did something funny during rehearsal, and I said, do it during this show. Do it while we're singing. Because he was like jumping and being goofy. And I went, no, be goofy. It's who you are. Not goofy like in the Disney character, but like authentic and a way that nobody else can be. How tall are you? Yeah, how many 6'4" guys are on stage that can sing as well as you and actually be funny? Not a lot. I mean, Tommy Tunes, there aren't a lot of them. So each one of us has something inside of us that is wanting to wake up. This is the year to do it. So the other definition is coming into existence or awareness. I think 2021 is time. It's really time. I am awake. So if I'm going to say I am awake, the title of today's talk, I am awake. Just say that with me for a moment. I am awake. Okay, just see where that resonates for you. I am awake. Okay. 2 words come right after that for me. Now what? I'm awake. Now what? Am I going to do things differently? I am awake. If I am awake, it means I know who I am. If I know who I am and that I am God, Everything is possible. There is nothing beyond what I can accomplish. Now what? Well, I honestly believe that if you stand in the presence of I am awake, it's hard for you to justify your life not taking off. It's hard for you to justify failure and call it that. It's hard for you to justify any type of behavior, any type of emotional reaction that is not A+ for you. Now, trust me, I'm not sitting here saying everyone's now going to be absolutely perfect and your lives are going to be spectacular and you're all going to win Oscars and do all the great things you're here to do. Or am I? I could be here to say that. And I kind of am. And I also get that it's a journey because it's called awakening. And it's going to be a process and it's going to be a journey. But I guarantee you, if you say to yourself, I am awake, and you refuse to go back to sleep, you're going to see a lot of changes. You're going to say to yourself, wait, if I'm awake, I can't do this. I can't behave like this. I can't think this way. I can't talk myself out of something that I know is mine to do because it's so difficult and because I have friends that all say that'll never happen. Stop telling them. If you have people in your life that don't support you and every time you give them one of your great ideas, they poo-poo it, I guarantee you it's more about them than about your idea or you. So if you are awake, be awake to that. Where's your support team? Who are the people that support you? I really think if we stand in I am awake, understanding that we are part of this movement of awakening, we can no longer stand in the excuses of our life. It is time to let go of our excuses. And Rumi said it best. He said this: the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. And I know you've all heard that, but the rest of it. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. So if you go back just to this, you must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. What he's saying is you must step into who you are. Ask for what you want. That doesn't mean I have to ask Mindy for something I want. That's not what it means. It means let the universe know, here is what I want. I want a Broadway career. I want to hit New York, hit the ground running, and be up there starring in shows and spend my life doing what is mine to do, if that's what you two decide to do. That is what I said. And when I said that at 20 years old, I got on a freaking train, grabbed everything out of my closets in Philadelphia. It was ridiculous looking, and took the train all the way to New York. Literally, it was really funny to look at. I just went to New York amidst hearing my family all say, you'll be back. It's not going to happen. And you know what? I didn't have that reaction. I didn't have that mindset. I had the mindset of, you must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. That means don't go back to the ideas that don't support you. Don't go back to the thinking that doesn't work for you. You know what it is. You know what doesn't work for you. Don't go back to the people who hold you back or hold you down. Just don't. You know who they are. And I don't mean that you have to diss them or be angry at them or have energy around them. I mean highest and furthest. Know they're highest, they're best, but know it away from you if that's what you need. So when it's saying, say what you want, but don't go back to sleep, don't go back to the old patterns, but say what you want. And I know some of you are going to say, well, what if I don't know what I want? Yeah, you do. Oh, I felt like Marianne Williamson just then. I used to watch her yell at people in the middle of talks. I was like, oh my God, I just turned into Marianne. Yeah, you do. But you do. You do. There's something in you that does know. But all your yeah buts, they're keeping you from remembering what it is. You knew it, and you know it. So, Rumi gets the last word in our opening talk of the year. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. I believe Rumi is saying what we said at the beginning with Liza and I. about that thin veil. I believe as we step into this year of awakening, it's time to lift those veils. You know, 2 years ago, I lost my most precious thing in the world, my daughter. But I want to tell you something. The sorrow I have and the horrific emotional pull on my life that it has caused is right here. But over here is joy. And over here is creativity. And the veil between them needs to be pulled up so that they can all live happily ever after. Because I believe what Rumi is saying in this poem, if we are going to step into the awakening of what life is, we have to start realizing that life and death are not two separate things. Death is part of life is part of death, and it just continues and continues. And this is not just me finding a la-la land way of dealing with it. It's understanding it from a depth. I had a dream last night where Nora was her little 9-year-old self, and she grabbed me and held me and looked at me and she said, "Promise me you'll stay with me forever." And when I woke up, I wasn't sad. I didn't wake up like, oh, I miss her. I woke up with, I will, and I am, and I always will be. And I had this feeling of like, that was her. And when I look at this poem and he's saying the veil is so thin, the door is right there. And it's open and it's wide. You can walk through, you can come back. I believe our minds are just beginning to understand how expansive our minds are. I want to be at the forefront, at least at this time in our evolution. I want to be at the top of that parade with a big baton, just leading the way for all of us to find out how amazing our minds are, and how much there is to know, and how much there is to expand, and how much there is to awaken to. And that right when we think we have awakened, there's going to be another whole tier of awakening. This year has so much in front of it. And not just this year, this moment forward has so much in it, so much for each one of us to say yes to. So I invite you this year to wake up, to stay awake, to not go back to sleep, to know the difference, and then to just give yourself the opportunity of stepping into your greatest self. I awaken to my greatest self. And the little caveat, drama free. Namaste.